What's up, guys? Sean Kellerman here with KansasNation.com. Hey, earlier in the week, we got to catch up with KU defensive coordinator DK McDonald. KU's defense gave up a touchdown to Fresno State on the opening drive in the Week 0 victory and then gave up absolutely nothing the rest of the way. DK, in his first year as the full-time defensive coordinator, here's everything he said earlier this week.
In the opener.
They played well, just like a lot of guys. They played good. We still got a lot to grow off of, and that's the exciting part. Is that was just a start. That's ground zero for us, and so hopefully we feel like we got a long way to go, and should be excited about it. We're proud of Leroy. He worked really hard, and it's good to see him have a payoff with how he played.
Big moment for him after transferring and the resources and working hard and all that. I mean, did you have any post game conversations with him between then and now about just how that felt to be out there on that stage?
No, the same as I told everybody. Just really proud of them. Guys worked hard. Before the guys went out, I told them just play free, and all mistakes are on me.
Yeah.
And so that's what they did. They just went out and played free, and he was no different than anybody else. And it's just a result of hard work. Those guys worked really hard all throughout the week and all throughout camp. And that hard work paid off. So you're just proud to see that, and now we got to move on to the next phase, and we got to get better. We got to get a lot better if we want to be the type of defense that we talk about being.
You guys got a lot of talent off the edge. Matt mentioned Leroy, but in general, what are you seeing in terms of the internal competition there? Because that room's deep.
Yeah, like I said before, I know in one interview just talked about how much depth we have, and that's a fun thing. And, getting Dean back now just only going to help us and just give us more guys that can run around and kind of do the things that we're asking to do and help us to be multiple. So it's great competition, and like I always say, competition brings out the best in our guys, and that's what we want. We always want to keep that competition going, and it really worked out well for us.
Going along with that, you guys use a lot of fronts with 3 defensive tackles out there. Was that something by design? Were you expecting to use that, or was it due to maybe Dean not being available, or how did that work out?
We're just always going to be multiple. We're going to do what it takes to win a game on Friday or Saturday, and so if that's what it takes, that's just what we're going to do. We got the capability to be really multiple. And I believe in that, so that's what we're going to do. So sometimes you may see 3 guys out there, sometimes 2 defensive tackles. Whatever it takes to win a game is what we're going to do, and try to keep it as simple as we can for our guys and play fast, physical, and for each other.
You mentioned needing to improve off of Saturday's game. What were some of the things that stood out to you of areas where you guys can take another step?
There's a lot. I think we could tackle a little better to start the game. If we would have did that, we probably would have been off the field a lot sooner. I think the communication was good, but the good is the enemy of great, and so we got to be just a little click better with that. Just running around, different things like that. It's just so many things, just scheme-wise, that I think we can clean up and really take our game to another level that hopefully we can do this game and continuing on.
And having so many different looks, you talked a lot about being multiple, but how do you feel like things went in terms of making sure everyone's in the right spots at the right time, all of that stuff?
It worked out well. We didn't have blown coverages. We didn't have misalignments. We didn't have guys in wrong gaps or anything like that. Like I keep saying, it's a simple defense. And so our guys they picked it up great. Our guys worked their butts off to try to understand it. And then we do a great job communicating and helping each other out if guys are out of place. So, simplicity just helps you play faster and helps you understand it better and gives you better results. And so that's what we continue to preach, the simplicity of the defense.
DK, with the linebackers, I know there were some plays, pretty good pursuit plays. Is that an athletic group?
They're athletic, and also we stress pursuing to the ball. That's one of our non-negotiables. We expect guys to run to the football when they're out there, and so if they don't, there's always something to pay for that. And like we talked about with the depth, there's always another guy who will come in and run to the football if you're not willing to do it. So great defense, pursue hard, and they go to people and they punish them when they get there. So we expect guys to do that. I was surprised our guys did it. That's what we expect them. That's what we demand on them, and our guys rose to the level of what we demanded of them.
How is DJ Graham coming along?
He's doing a good job. I think we'll see him out there this week ready to rock and roll, and that'd be good. Add some more depth to our cornerback position, which we need, and add more competition. I think the 2 guys that went out and played and started for us did a good job. I think Jalil came in and gave us some good snaps too, which is exciting to see. And so I think we can have a good little mix of guys, as well as the amount of safeties that we have playing too, to continue to give us the capability to have different looks and be able to put guys out there.
Lyric's the one that stands out, but how important is it for you to have guys that show passion after they make plays?
All of them. We should. This is a fun game.
Yeah.
We get to play a fun game, and we should be excited. I tell the guys all the time, man, let's celebrate together, and that's what we do. And that's a part of playing for each other. Is when someone makes a play, we got to celebrate together. And we always talk about in meetings, sometimes you're going to make a play, sometimes I'm going to make a play, but it's always us making a play. And so it's fun to see that. Nothing gets me more excited than seeing our guys celebrate together and really get on the sideline and really celebrate with one another and feel like we all made that play, and that's what it's all about. So it's fun to see guys doing what you ask them to do.
Lance just talked a little about DJ being a captain too, and having earned that. From your perspective, how cool was that to see him as that fourth captain? It's it's a small part, but
Yeah, I was so proud. DJ's really worked hard. He had some battles this summer, just with a couple things that he was going through, and to see him, what he did in camp was unbelievable. And then he had a great week of practice, and it was good to see him get rewarded with that captainship and go out there and do that for our first home game. And I'm just really excited, really proud of him. He's a great leader for us, and I wish we had more guys who kind of work the way that DJ does.
On the sideline, you're not always on the ball. When you're watching plays, what are the things you're looking for? And is that something you've seen from other coordinators that you've looked for, where they're not always just right in line where the play started?
It's just where I'm comfortable. I never really pay attention to where I'm standing, to be honest with you. Sometimes, and when I'm way back, I'm just kind of looking at angles and kind of seeing how our fits look and different things like that. Sometimes I like to stand the line of scrimmage and see how the battle of the line of scrimmage is going, if we're getting penetration on their side of the line of scrimmage. So, and then sometimes there's just so many people around me when I'm standing there that I just need to move. So it's nothing really to it besides just that. Sometimes is that I'm just a crowd of people. I'm a little claustrophobic, so I move back away from everybody to get away. So it's really not as much as probably what you guys are making it out there.
What do you expect from Wagner offensively?
I expect them to be multiple. I know last year they did a lot of stuff that we do here offensively. So, and I know how much of a challenge that is for us each and every day going against our own offense. So we expect them to have the motions and to have a good running game. They're going to take their shots. They do a great job with the short passing game, which I think we got to get better at in the secondary. And they may run their quarterback and different things like that. So it's going to be a challenge. And the tough part is, just like last week, we're not quite sure what they're going to do. So we're going to have to come out and we're going to have to adjust and we're going to have to just play fast and let everything go from there, and then make adjustments on the fly, just like we did last week.
What are some of the main points of emphasis you're trying to see out of your defense this week?
Nothing changes. We always have the same thing. Like I keep saying, we play fast, physical, and for each other, and I'd want that to keep coming out in the film and different things like that. And so that's just what we stand for, and we do. And we hope that we work that no one man should block us. We don't want the ball going over our head in the pass game. And then we don't want people running through our defense. And so that's what we stand for. That's our mindset. And when we go out there, man, we want to compete, and we never compromise for that.
Sorry if you were asked this, but Lyric's interception, just what was your thoughts on that?
Glad he caught it. Glad he caught it. I really didn't see that he caught it. I just kind of heard the reaction and the way it sounded. The crowd didn't even know he caught the ball. So that was neat. But this is a result of, two, when you run to the ball, good things happen. And you never know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. And we talk about that all the time in this room. And he's one of the guys who bought into that, and he ran to the football, and as a result, something good happened. And so that's a lesson for all our guys, especially our young guys who might not be playing right now. Like, sprint to the ball, and good things will happen to you. The ball finds energy. Yeah, thank you, guys.
That's KU defensive coordinator DK McDonald. A lot of playmakers, a lot of really good veterans, and really promising young talent on the defensive side for the Hawks. Their next challenge is going to be against Wagner, 6:30 Friday, 5 o'clock Crimson and Blue Show. Make sure that you are tuned in. We'll be breaking it down for you. KansasNation.com and ESPN Kansas City on Tuesday next week. We'll chat with you then. Thanks for watching on KansasNation.com and ESPN Kansas City. What's up, friends, and happy Friday. Welcome into Rock Chalk Sports here at KansasNation.com with Dan Courtwright. I am Sean Kellerman. Abbreviated show today, but that's all right because we're excited for game day. Week 1, game 2 for the 1-0 Kansas Jayhawks as they take on the Wagner Seahawks. We're going to get into some keys to the game, some things that we want to see in a FCS type game that I think we are expecting KU to run away with it, but we'll have to wait and see when the ball is kicked at 6:30. Then we'll give some game picks real quick before the action actually starts over at the new booth. Dan, I want you to kind of give some observations. I know you've done a deep dive on the Seahawks and some of the key players that they have. Wagner, a member of the Northeast Conference. They finished 5th in the Northeast Conference, which again is in the FCS last year, and they're under a sixth-year head coach right now in Tom Masella. Wagner, for those who don't know, is in Staten Island, New York. Coach Leipold was asked earlier this week how this game came about, and I don't think there's any major connections or anything. I think it just worked out from a scheduling standpoint, and KU gets an opportunity to play on Friday before the holiday of Labor Day on Monday. So there's that, and an opportunity for the Seahawks, like I said, to come in. But Dan, tell us a little bit about these Wagner Seahawks and some of the guys who got honored by the Northeast Conference.
Yeah, so right now, I mean, as like you said, the Wagner Seahawks and KU, there's not really a connection there. Going through the game notes, really the biggest connection was, hey, Lance Leipold coached at Buffalo, which is in the same state, pretty much. There is one minor connection. KU offensive analyst Steve Matos, he was the offensive coordinator / offensive line coach for Wagner back in 2024. But also Wagner, they have a virtually brand new coaching staff underneath Tom Masella, with their offensive coordinator coming over from Union College. They didn't have a defensive coordinator listed. I think that's kind of a shared position at this point in terms of their defense. They do have a couple of guys who got preseason accolades in the Northeastern Conference. Joshua Brown, who is their punter, is their best player in terms of player by position. They also have Jordan Johnson, who's a linebacker on the defensive side of the ball, who's returning from last year. He was their third leading tackler from last year. In 2024, he had 28 solo tackles, 23 assisted tackles for 51 total. Also had an interception, 7 tackles for a loss, and 2 sacks. So that's going to be one guy to really look forward to. They had a 8 guys on the all-second team selection for the Northeastern Conference. So a lot of question marks for this Wagner squad, not just because they're an FCS school, but because we haven't seen anything on film from them with their new offensive coordinator and their new defensive coordinator as well. We know Tom Masella has been there for a while. He's a alum of Wagner as well. He played for them back in the 80s, had a pretty good career there, and is able to coach his alma mater. So it's cool to see Tom Masella be able to do that. But again, not a whole lot of connections between Kansas and Wagner. And there's a couple of things that I do want to see in this game because of the fact that we don't know what kind of offense they're going to be running. I'm excited to see what kind of what Kansas is going to be able to do on the defensive end of the ball at the beginning of the game, right? This is one of those games where, in theory, in a perfect world, it's over by the second drive. Now, we wanted that to happen with Fresno State, too. All of a sudden, KU was tied up with Fresno State 7-7. Yes, they pitched a shutout after that, and I think the case of the new stadium, first week jitters is going to be kind of over, and I think Kansas is going to get off to a strong start. They're going to have probably Leroy Harris out there for quite a bit. Dean Miller is supposed to be coming back, so I'm excited to see what he's going to be able to do in his final season as a Jayhawk, obviously an all-conference guy from last year. I want to see how much pressure those guys are going to be able to get on the ball, but there are quite a few things that I want to see. We can go farther in depth in terms of that, but it's just right now with this Wagner squad, a lot of question marks because there's no film yet.
Well, and again, it's an FCS team. Like, let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
Kansas, as we know, at times had struggles before the Lance Leipold era at dealing with FCS teams. They lost in 2015 and they lost in 2018, and we don't want to relive those memories. Kansas has not had a problem with FCS teams since Coach Leipold has got here. It's a little bit strange because you faced a team that's not a power conference team, but is a team that went to a bowl game in week 0 in Fresno State, and now you kind of, for lack of a better way of putting it, are taking a step down in terms of talent from your opponent. And there's also the concern of the look-ahead factor because all eyes are going to be on the game after the Wagner game on September 6th in Columbia, which is going to be a marquee matchup and an opportunity for KU to pick up an SEC victory and maybe go 3-0. Most important thing that I want to see, and this goes without saying, everybody stay healthy. We talk about an opportunity to play the second, third, fourth string guys. That very well could be a thing, but everybody's got to stay healthy. You would love to see KU clean things up, maybe get a little bit of stability on their first 2-3 offensive drives. On the offensive line, a group that was flagged a lot in week 0. So that's one thing that I want to see. And Dan, I know also we talked about guys that we expect to have a breakout or maybe our Hawks to rock on both sides of the ball offensively. Johnny Thompson Jr., I wouldn't be surprised to see him get 20, 25 snaps in this one. Deuce Highshaw, we're expecting to start the game, go a couple drives. We don't know if Le'Shawn Williams will play. Lance Leipold saying on Monday, questionable to doubtful is how he would put that, which makes sense on a short week when you have an FCS opponent. But I expect Johnny Thompson Jr. to have a big opportunity. Harry Stewart likely will get some run as well. And then defensively, for me, I talked about Marcus Calvin up front. Remind us your Hawks to rock that we talked about back on Wednesday's show, who you think has a real opportunity to make a big impact in this one.
Yeah, so on the offensive side of the ball, I think Levi Wentz is going to have a big game at that wide receiver position. I think he's going to get open quite a bit. And the fact that he's running kind of with the 2s and 3s kind of shows me that, hey, he's going to be playing later in this game because he needs that experience as well. He's coming from an FCS program, right? He's coming from the University of Albany. He's played against Wagner before. So it's going to be interesting to see how Levi Wentz attacks this. I think that he's going to get quite a bit of play. And on the defensive side of the ball, I want to see Jason Gilliam get some play as well at that Hawk position. So really looking forward to those guys getting some play. This is going to be kind of an evaluation game for this Kansas squad because they're still figuring some things out. There's still a lot of rotational pieces on that offensive line and in the defense as well. We're not going to see Joseph Jr. That's unfortunate because I really wanted to see what he was going to be able to do for that Kansas defense in that linebacker room. He's not going to be playing in this game. Hopefully we get him back from Missouri, but at the same time, I'm a big fan of what we saw from Bengali Kamara and Trey Lathan at that linebacker room. In the secondary, I want to see some stuff out of Mason Ellis in that secondary. I want to see him really make some plays at that safety position, as well as some of the other guys on the cornerback position. I want to see Jaleel Hurley and DJ Graham really get some play. I'm excited to see what those guys are going to bring to the table. That's on the defensive side of the ball. A lot of younger guys, like you said, Marcus Calvin up front didn't have a barbell in his weight room in high school. That's I can't believe you've heard that. That's I thought that was breaking news, but that's obviously a well-known thing. That's what all the coaches like to say, is that Marcus Calvin grew up without a barbell in his weight room in high school. But yeah, on the defensive end of things, we're going to see a lot of guys get evaluated pretty much. Now, hopefully, in a perfect world, that's the way this game is going to go. I don't see this being a close game. If it is technically a close game, then I think maybe we'll see the starters for a little bit longer. We're going to see probably more Dean Miller, more Leroy Harris, a lot of these different kinds of players. On the offensive side of the ball, I'm excited to see what Tavake Tuikalavantu can actually do against an FCS opponent up front, because there is a big-time competition there between him and Amir Herring. Him and Amir Herring rotating at that left guard position is going to be huge to figure out for that week 2 game 3 against Mizzou. So I want to see what they can do. Also, Enrique Cruz and Nolan Gorsica are going to be rotating at that right tackle position as well. We saw Enrique Cruz out there. I thought Enrique Cruz, I kept an eye on him, did not have a very good second drive. But this is a testament to what Coach Leipold is able to do. He didn't take out Enrique Cruz immediately after that. Enrique Cruz had a couple of bad penalties on him, as well as, had a couple of missed assignments, missed blocks, let some guys get into the backfield. And here's the thing with Lance Leipold, he kept Enrique Cruz in there. Now, eventually he did bring in Nolan Gorsica at that right tackle position, and that was just because they wanted to get them some play. So it'll be interesting to see kind of who comes and emerges from those competitions, because right now those are the 2 biggest competitions that they have, and arguably it's the most important because you have to keep JD healthy and you want to be able to have him comfortable in the pocket so he doesn't have to make those hero ball throws. He doesn't have to force things through the air, because we saw what happened last year with kind of a weaker offensive line, at least at the beginning of the season. Now, the offensive line did stay strong towards the end, and it was one of the better offensive lines in the Big 12, but we saw JD having to force those things, having to play hero ball because he was getting flushed out of the pocket quite a bit. So I want to see some absolute studs emerge from those competitions on that offensive side of the ball. I also want to see some stuff in the wide receiver room. I mentioned Levi Wentz. I think he's going to have a big-time game against this Wagner squad. I want to see a couple of local guys. Bryce Cahoon coming out of Mays. He actually is a transfer from Syracuse. I want to see him get some play, and I also want to see Tate Nagy get some play. Obviously, we've seen him in the punt return game, being able to return at least one, have a couple of fair catches. I want to see what he can do in terms of his route running. We've heard about his lateral quickness, straight line speed is not exactly up to par in terms of some of the other guys like Emmanuel Henderson, like Cam Pickett, like Bryson Canty. So I want to see him really run some routes and see what his route tree actually looks like.
And you guys thought that we weren't going to have anything we wanted to see again against an FCS opponent. I think you covered it all, Dan.
Yeah,
I mean, that was impressive.
Thank you. Yeah,
yeah.
I didn't even mention Johnny Thompson and Harry Stewart.
What's important for this game, aside from the usual, which is certainly the getting out of there with no injuries, that sort of thing. As much as we don't want to talk about points and how, you need to go out, you need to beat the brakes off a team, this is kind of a game where if you win, say 28-10, I don't know how good you're feeling about yourself, right? You want to have that confidence heading into the game next week in week 2. And if that happens, well, what's probably going to happen is you're going to be up 35-0 at halftime. I mean, that's not unrealistic for that to be the case. So yeah, if KU is able to go out and establish dominance with their athleticism, their speed, their talent, all of which are going to be significantly better than Wagner, then KU is going to be feeling good, and you can have a potential of that 35-0 score at halftime. Then you get to see Cole Ballard, you get to see Zeke Marshall, and kind of run out the clock in the third and fourth quarters. Again, you don't want to always say scoreboard, but in this situation, you want KU feeling very good. They felt very good after their victory over Fresno State in week 0. There's no reason that they shouldn't go out and take care of Wagner with limited issues. Get out of there healthy and make sure that you're in a good spot. Dan, do you have any particular keys to this game for KU to bring a win? Aside from the turnover margin, of course, is one thing that can flip games no matter who you're facing, so that's always got to be at the top of the list.
Yeah, obviously don't turn the ball over. I want to see a big game out of the secondary because that's their wide receiver room and on this Wagner squad is probably the most experience that they have. The quarterback room is not. They're losing their top quarterback, their top passing leader from last year, and Jake Cady. They're bringing back their second passing leader, but he's actually listed as a wide receiver, and Damian Mazel. He had 23 completions, 40 attempts for 289 yards, 3 interceptions, 3 touchdowns last year, and that guy, he's listed as a wide receiver right now. So we actually don't know who's going to be their starting quarterback as of right now, but their wide receiver room is going to be pretty stacked. They have Damian Mazel, like I said. They also have Sekou Kamau, who had 57 catches for 344 yards. Andre Hines Jr. had 58 catches for 245 yards, and Malik Cooper as well had 13 catches from last year. So they do have a relatively experienced wide receiver core. I want to see a lot out of that secondary to try to shut them down. That was their rushing core. Their wide receiver core has Tyree McDonald and Jeremiah McCullough as well. So the rushing core and their receiving core is actually really good. Their defensive side of the ball, Sam Martin, he's in their secondary. He had 32 tackles last year. And then, like I said, Jordan Johnson, who is their linebacker, he's actually their third leading tackler from last year, but listed as a preseason all-NEC caliber type player. So I want to see the defense really be able to step up. Offensive side of the ball, I don't think there's going to be any issues. I want to see, just again, some of those younger guys, some of those new guys really get some action and an in-game experience. They've been going through fall camp this whole time, playing against each other, and now they finally got to be able to go out there against Fresno State. JD distributed the ball to over 10 different receivers. I want to see that again. But I also want to see JD get his solidified number 1. So I want to see Emmanuel Henderson get hot early. I want to see Cam Pickett get hot early again. I want to see Doug Emelian make a play as well in this game.
Wagner and KU tomorrow, or rather tonight at 6:30. I'm used to the Saturday schedule. 5 o'clock, Crimson and Blue show, the Jayhawks and the Seahawks. Before we close out, some quick game picks. Tonight, we've got a couple games featuring Big 12 teams. Dan, Auburn -2.5 heading to McLean Stadium to take on the Baylor Bears. Who do you like in that one with the over-under set at 58.5?
Yeah, I mean, this game is so interesting to me because it's at Baylor. I like Sawyer Robertson. I like Dave Aranda quite a bit. Auburn, to me, is a bad football team. We talked about that kind of in the first show. They have 3 different quarterbacks who could potentially play. They have 3 different play callers who they could potentially have calling the plays. Give me Baylor money line.
Georgia Tech at Colorado. Colorado in the Rockies, 4.5-point underdogs, over under 51.5.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Caden Salter's a good quarterback. Now, I understand that Colorado did lose a lot of guys. They also lost the Heisman and Travis Hunter, right? They lost Shedeur Sanders, who, again, I think is actually a really good quarterback. I didn't think he was a fifth-round pick. I mean, obviously, we did see him slide. That was the story of the NFL draft. Wasn't a fifth-round pick. I would think was probably thinking more around second, third round. But they do have Caden Salter. They also have Julian Lewis, by the way. So I'll be interested to see if Julian Lewis actually gets any play in this game. I know there was a quarterback conversation there in terms of a battle between those guys. Caden Salter did come out at the top. Give me Colorado at plus 4.5. I think Georgia Tech might squeeze this one out.
Alabama minus 13.5 at Florida State, over under 50.5.
Tommy Castellanos is a good quarterback. Again, he's fun to watch because he reminds me a little bit of Jameis Winston in terms of the recklessness. He has a lot of touchdowns and a lot of interceptions. So that's going to be an interesting one to see. I still think Mike Norvell's a good coach. I think Kalen DeBoer has something to prove, though. I understand that his first year at Alabama did not exactly live up to the standards of what Alabama fans seem to want to have their football team at every single year, which is arguably the highest bar in all of college football. I think Alabama comes out and Kalen DeBoer makes a statement with Ty Simpson at quarterback. Give me Alabama over 2 touchdowns.
Thomas Castellanos, of course, the transfer from Boston College, heading to Florida State, and this will be their first game in the post-DJ Uiagalelei era. Syracuse plus 13.5 against Tennessee, and Atlanta over under 50.5.
Man, does the SEC just not like playing games in their home stadiums? I don't understand this. They're Syracuse and Tennessee playing in Atlanta doesn't make sense to me whatsoever. I know it's about money, but yeah, they just always gravitate towards Atlanta for some reason. Syracuse, I do like Fran Brown quite a bit, but I think Tennessee is by far and away going to be the better team. Josh Heupel just signed an extension through 2030, I believe. Josh Heupel is a damn good football coach. Give me Tennessee minus 13.5. I think they're going to wipe the floor with Syracuse.
Vols no longer, of course, with Nico Iamaleava. Virginia Tech at South Carolina. South Carolina is minus 7.5. 52.5 is the over-under.
I think I like Virginia Tech in this game. I like the way that they've been playing football. I know there's a little bit of turnover there for Virginia Tech. Lenore Sellers is a good quarterback for South Carolina. I think Virginia Tech covers in this game. I think it's going to be close, but I do think South Carolina comes out the victor by less than a touchdown.
Week 1, there are 3 top 10 matchups in college football. We're going to run through those right now to close things out. It's in Death Valley. LSU and Clemson. The Clemson Death Valley. And the Clemson Tigers, not the LSU Tigers, are 3.5-point favorites. Over-under is 57.5.
Yeah, I was talking about this with you off air about how interesting it is that LSU and Clemson are both the Tigers, and both of them call their stadiums Death Valley. And this is going to determine, hey, who's the real Tigers, who's the real Death Valley. We know the real Tigers aren't Mizzou, that team out east that Sean refuses to say their name. This is going to be a fun game, though. LSU, I like them a lot. I think Garrett Nussmeier is a really good football player. But again, it's just hard for me to root for Brian Kelly. Weirdly enough, in this era, I think it's kind of behind in the times with Dabo Swinney, not getting any transfers in, continuing to develop those high school players, but it's seeming to work for him, right? I think that he's doing a relatively good job in terms of keeping up. Now, ask me this 5 years from now, I think Clemson, if they continue to do this in the transfer portal and the NIL era, then I think that it's not going to work. But as of right now, I do like Clemson, and since it's going to be in South Carolina at Clemson, I think Clemson sneaks this one away.
Another top 10 matchup, Notre Dame minus 2.5 at the U, over under 49.5.
Mario Cristobal is going to be coaching this one from the box. Going to be a little bit interesting to see how a head coach choosing to coach it up in the box is going to go. But obviously Notre Dame, I really like them a lot. They still have Jeremiah Love. They did lose their quarterback. I think Notre Dame comes out of this one a winner.
And finally, of course, number 1 versus number 3, 1 versus 2 in the coaches poll if you want to go with that. Texas and Ohio State, 11 o'clock tomorrow, kickoff at the Horseshoe. Buckeyes, small favorites at home, minus 1.5, over under 47.5.
Ohio State, they have an Alabama transfer at quarterback. They still have Jeremiah Smith, but Arch Manning is the real deal. There's a reason they're number 1. I see this as kind of a trap line. Ohio State, they're the number 3 team in the nation, but since it's in Columbus, they're a 1.5-point favorite. Give me Texas money line.
Hey, that's our game picks for week 1. A lot of loaded matchups on the slate. Of course, we're most concerned about the game taking place at 6:30 tonight, KU and Wagner. Hopefully the Hawks are 2-0 heading into a monster week next week. The Hawks doing battle in the border war on September 6th. Make sure you join us Tuesday for our show, Rock Chalk Sports, here on KansasNation.com and also over on Sports on ESPN Kansas City. Check us out. We're going to have great coverage of the border war all of next week. For Gabe Boucher and Dan Courtwright, Sean Kellerman saying we'll see you then.